Now that Vlad shared with you some of the detailed information behind actually building a remote patient monitoring system, I'm gonna talk about actually how to go about doing that, right? Um, so first off, let me share a little about Archer and Cprime. Archer Software is a software development and technology consulting company. We work with startups to enterprise size clients, helping them do everything from product idea and validation to software development and architecture, and all the way through to scaling and supporting your business. C Prime is our parent company, and they're a global consulting firm helping transforming businesses get in sync. So everything from agile transformations and tooling systems like Atlassian and Jira. Between Archer and C Prime, we cover everything from the product development to actually helping the companies transform the way they go about doing business and the way they look at products and bringing products to market. Um, Archer and C Prime together, we merge ideas and technologies and agile approaches. So combining all of that across multiple industries, but healthcare and life sciences is one of our premier industries. We are able to develop your business and bring it to a successful implementation in the market. But first comes, what do? You come to market and you have a product idea, and you have to figure out if there is a market for your idea. So looking at the full cycle of software development in the initial stages, the early stages of your business, when you're looking at requirements gathering and validation of those requirements, you're looking at your market, the other businesses out there, different competitors, and looking at a gap analysis where you want your business to go, where current competitors exist, and the gap in between. During the product design phase, you're looking at your solution design, the architecture, the user interface and user experience, and how that's going to lay out, and of course, business model testing. So all of that is in the early stages of your business, when Archer can really bring the breadth and depth of our experience and expertise to really help guide the formation of your business plans and your business ideas. Once all of that is done, you go on to the bulk of where the workload is done, which is in the architecture and development phase. This is where we're looking at putting together the actual documentation for your business and for your technology. We're putting together the storyboards and detailed analysis and design on the design and the functionality and how that user experience is going to play out. And as Vlad mentioned before, user experience with wearable technologies is very important. It has to be as simple as possible for that user to have it on and not really have to do much with it. The idea is for the doctors or the monitoring systems to be able to do most of the work while the user is just going about their daily lives. And that's where you get the most ascertained information while the user is doing their regular daily routines. So in that design, it's very instrumental when you're working with wearable devices in the medical field. Of course, you have to think about where your users are going to be interacting. Is it going to be on web, or is it going to be on mobile, and how that development is going to play out? Embedded development, quality assurance, so all the testing, and of course your DevOps. So that's going to be the bulk of the development of your platform, of your business idea, of your technology. And you want to get to the point where you're now in a business growth stage. Obviously, a very important area. Every business is trying to get to that point where you have enough of a product to bring to market, and you're now building your business. You're scaling your infrastructure, you're scaling your development teams, you're growing your development teams, you're building out a NetOps team and a help desk. And that all comes later on in the full cycle of your software development, leading to that product and being able to launch your product successfully, having properly tested, analyzed it, built it, developed it, and brought it to a point where there's a need for it and you can bring that to market successfully. The key drivers in the development are obviously your team members, and Vlad mentioned again too the importance of having skilled team members who have experience in the medical industry. That's very important. In other industries, it might not be as relevant, but here you really need to bring experience to the table when you're building wearable technology. So having a team with experience is very important. Obviously, having the right technologies in place. You can't have a technology platform if you don't have a good technology stack. And so you want to make sure that you have that foundation laid right from the start with both your short-term goals, but your long-term future success as well. So how can that technology enable your business to grow and scale as well? You have processes in place to build out your platform and to hit milestones and to make sure that everything is moving along smoothly, whether it's communication internally, externally, sharing of information and things like that. And that links into the tooling. And a lot of the tooling comes down to enabling your development teams to both measure performance and to work together to enhance that development process. So 4 key pillars to drive your product to a developmental success. This slide has a lot of information on it, and we're going to be sharing the slides with everybody. So I'd encourage you to go through and look at this in detail. But there are 5 main components in the solution development and implementation. The first stage, of course, like we just talked about briefly, is planning. And planning has 3 main components. It's actually your technical and operations requirements. It's the market analysis that I just spoke about, and the gap research, where your business idea falls in and fills in gaps that are in the industry, and understanding those certification and regulatory requirements. This in the medical industry with HIPAA compliancy in the US, and each country has different regulations and compliancy rules and things like that. So it's very important to know what those are when you're going into the planning stages, so you can allocate proper resources and get those experienced team members to join the team and be able to hit all of those check marks in terms of requirements, certifications, and regulations. As you're thinking about building out your platform, you need to think about whether you're going to build it yourself or you're going to work with an experienced partner. Building it yourself is a long and often expensive process that's inundated with mistakes and fallbacks on whether it's hiring people, whether it's choosing the wrong technologies. And there's a lot of learning curves that go in when you're trying to build your product yourself internally, from hiring and training and onboarding, keeping your teams motivated and properly educated, and so on and so forth. So selecting a IT partner or third-party vendor to help come in and build your system is often the most effective and cost-efficient way to get your platform to market. You need to research your vendors to find one that aligns with your business, both your business needs and your business culture. And that's very important too. So if you can align those two, then as you look to select a software vendor to come in and work with you, it should feel like they are part of your team. And that's really vital to both your short and long-term success. As you're contracting with a vendor, you need to think about liability and managing risks, how they're going to go about building the development team, scaling it out, supporting it, and then setting up interaction processes and routines such as daily Scrum calls, weekly team meetings. What toolings are you going to use, like Jira and Atlassian, so that you can communicate properly? Because most important is that you want your software development partner to be doing everything in a transparent manner to you. You're not trying to send off code to some black box and have them hopefully build it right and send it back to you. You want daily and weekly interactions with that software development partner so that you know what's going on, they know what's going on. And as your needs change during the development process, that software development team can react accordingly and adjust the development of that product. Because this is medical, obviously EHR systems are vital. So you want to look at different EHR systems and how you can integrate those. If you're building a platform to read wearable technology, then you need to think about which wearable technologies are you going to actually integrate with. Smart watches, smart clothing, other different devices that are out there, and there are a lot, and that market is growing every day. So needing to be able to know what's out there and know what the best wearable devices for your specific business are vitally important. And selecting a third-party vendor that does this day in and day out can really deliver that in a timely and cost-efficient manner. Of course, as you're thinking about this as well, you need to think about training and educating the users in your system. And when you're talking about wearables, you're talking about both the patients or the clients who are using it and wearing it, training them how to properly wear it, properly clean it, what they have to do, things of that nature. You have to train the hospital staff, the clinicians, the caregivers, the doctors. So what information are they getting? How to look at your platform and look at that information in a quick moment. And so very important to think about the training and the education. And then, of course, the support and optimization. So performance needs both now and as you scale your platform. You might start with a couple of hundred users, and then all of a sudden you find yourself with thousands of users. So knowing how to support and scale that business is very important. Quality assurance and bug fixing is vital to the success of your platform. And of course, gathering feedback from both sides, from the patients and the caregivers, and so that you can take that feedback and properly enhance the system. Next, we're looking at the cost of the development. And cost of development from scratch depends on multiple components, the complexity of the design. And as Vlad mentioned earlier, it's very important to try and keep it simple, at least in the user interface and the user experience. What's going on behind the scenes is a different story. But the simpler you can keep things, at least in the user interface, the better. The functionality and the use cases is another area. Are you really focusing on one particular area, or are you looking to go into multiple different functionalities and use cases? So for each use case, that's going to require different storyboards and different functionalities and features. The number of user groups, so how many people and how many different areas, different kinds of users are you having in the system? The number of platforms, mobile, web, desktop, and each one of those has different needs and requirements as well. As I mentioned just before, the number of wearable devices that you're going to integrate with, as well as the number of different systems, different EHR systems, and other medical technologies that are on the market that might be very important to your business. Looking at the infrastructure setup and the tech stack and how you're going to go about doing that and the costs involved, from hosting costs and ongoing maintenance costs and fees and things of that nature. And of course, the number of people that are going to be on your support team. All of these had to do with the ultimate costs in development. The requirements management, this is another area that is very important when you're looking to build out your platform. So a multi-level requirements approach is often the best way to go. You have minimal requirements, which is just some basic storyboards. This is how you envision your idea coming to market and how your users are going to go about interacting with the platform at a basic level, so that the team members, your tech team, can actually start to put this together in terms of technical details and constraints that might come up. Standard level, you're getting into much more detailed information from user scenarios and UX screens, validation procedures, and then you get into the maximum level. This is really where you're getting into the nitty-gritty nuts and bolts of the requirements. And this goes into as much as writing out really detailed requirements, documents, architecture diagrams, data flow diagrams, API integrations and the different API points. So very, very important to get your requirements management processes set up from the start, so that you're getting all of the inputs needed to deliver that best in breed platform that you're trying to achieve. Risk management in custom software development in general is very, very, very important. And the more experienced the team members are, the more experienced they're going to be at looking at the various risks and how that can affect the build out and your platform development. Positive risks are early on, not so much risks as ideas into how to improve your platform or how to add value. Um, Negative risks are things that are going to obviously negatively affect the build out of your system, the maintenance, the scaling. And these can be things like unknown information, certain unknowns, maybe wearable devices and the interactions and the integrations of those are unknown at this point in the requirements gathering. So those risks in how they're going to interact can affect the overall cost and build out of the platform. And it's important to come up with all of these risks early on so that you can work through them and hopefully mitigate them from ever happening. And there's also a category called no risks, which are different assumptions that the development team are going to bring up and talk about that they might not necessarily positively or negatively affect the building and scaling of your business, but they are things that need to be discussed so that everybody is on the same page in building that platform. There are two ways of looking at when you're working with a software partner in looking at the pricing. There's what's known as a fixed price and a times and materials price. With a fixed price, your development partner is giving you one price to build your platform. That's a very risky avenue to go down, especially when you're building medical software, because a lot of things can change as you begin the build out, as you are getting feedback from your users, as you're finding other systems to integrate with, as you're finding new technologies, new wearables that you want your platform to integrate with. If you didn't know them from the start and you went with a fixed price model, everything is baked in and that's the price. And if you want to include other systems and other integrations, different user stories and workflows, those are going to be added costs. And they're also going to disrupt the already developed timeline and timeframes and project plan for building your platform. With a times and materials, this is where you're getting your software development partner to commit to the delivery and quality of the functionality while adjusting to the budget restraints if the requirements change. Basically, an agile approach to building your platform. As needs change, the structure of the build out, the development, the timeframes, the project plan, all those are going to change in a positive manner. But the ability to adapt and change your project plans is very, very vital. So recommended a times and materials so that you have a budget estimate with a low and a high end of what your project is going to cost, but nothing is fixed. So things can change, ideas can come up, feedback can be given, and your product can live and breathe throughout the life cycle of its development. So it comes out with the best in breed platform. When you're looking at a third-party partner and you're looking at getting a budget estimate and a project plan, you want to have things broken out for you in a very transparent manner. The different team members and how much time they're going to be spending, the hours required for the different line items from development, management, testing, DevOps, cleanup and acceptance, the risks that we spoke about and risk mitigation. So you want to see where your money is going, where the hours of your team are being spent, and you want to have line items broken out as to where those hours are going in terms of building that platform. This way, everything is clearly defined, everything is on the same page, and all expectations are there and at the forefront. And where expectations cannot be clearly defined, you want that understood as well, so everybody is on the same page. When you're thinking about the development as well, and you're looking at various tools to control the budget, the timeline, the quality of the delivered solution, you need to look at tooling systems like Jira. You want to think about, are you having daily Scrum calls? Are you having weekly team meetings? Are you informing the seniors, your COO and CEO? When are they being brought in? When are the different teams communicating? When is other information being delivered retrospective, what we've done last week, what we're doing next week and delivering. So everybody is on the same page, and it should feel no different than if your team is working in a different building down the street from you. So, but this is very important to, again, get everybody on the same expectations and understandings. And then you get into the different reporting features from Jira task management. So how are the different feature developments and functionality developments coming along? You want to look at different burn down charts, which is looking at how the work is progressing, how the projects are coming along. Are you meeting those budget restraints? Are you meeting the time frames? Are you falling behind? Are you working ahead of the project plan? And there's a very good snapshot to look at. Reporting samples, so looking at the different features, the different functionalities, and how many hours have been spent on each one. Again, full transparency is key. And if you're going to work with a third party, if they aren't providing you full transparency into how you're spending your money and how the team's time is being allocated, then you don't want to work with them. You need everything fully transparent for you. Reporting samples, so all of your invoicing monthly, and the invoices should, whether they're weekly, monthly, however everything is worked out from the beginning, but you want to be able to have a nice record of all those invoices. And something that Archer does, which we find very important, is we look to get user feedback from our clients and from their users all across the platform as we finish sprints and release new features and functionalities. We want to know how it's working for your end users, because at the end of the day, that's what's most important. How the end users are finding the experience with your platform is going to be the key driver to your success. So the more feedback you can get and actually work with, the better that platform is going to come out. So those are some of the key parts that you need to look at when you're putting together your platform and how everything is going to come into play, so that with remote patient monitoring, which again is a very tricky industry to be in, because you have so many different components that come into play, working with an experienced team is really the best way to go to get your product to market fast, efficient, and in a cost savings manner, one that you can work with, one that you can build your business on, and you can grow and expand your business. It's not just about what the needs are today, but it's about those ever-changing needs. It's about advancing technologies. It's about different products being brought to market that you want to integrate with now and down the road. And at the end of the day, this is all about enhancing the health and wellness of the population and enhancing their interactions with their medical providers and making that as simple and seamless as possible. If you go to a doctor once every 3 months, there's only so much that that doctor can do. But if that doctor can get information 24/7 about your health and wellness, then your medical plan, your overall health goals can be achieved much greater, much quicker. You can head off disease much quicker, knowing that knowing that your blood pressure has been off for a few days, or your heart rate is running exceptionally high, or monitoring your diabetes, your blood sugar and glucose, things like that. So many different areas and so many different needs on the market that it's vital to work with a partner or work with a team that has that experience, has that expertise, has an understanding of how to look at your product from the very early stages of that product ideation and the evolution of that design, how to develop it, how to scale it, and how to support it, and how to keep it ever evolving to make it relevant to today and tomorrow's technology and medical needs. So with that, I'd like to ask if anybody has any questions for either Vlad or myself. Otherwise, like I mentioned, we're going to have the PowerPoints sent out to everybody. We're going to have our presentation on our website. If you haven't been on our website, lots of great videos, tutorials, and educational information. And of course, we're here to help you. You can reach out and touch base with us. We're more than happy to have some phone calls with you and talk about your needs and how we can help you. So it doesn't look like we have any questions. And if there are no questions, Then I'm going to thank you. Vlad, do you have any last thoughts? You're on mute, my friend.
Yeah, just wanted to say that not as last thoughts, but just to underline that current remote patient monitoring area is still in some start mode, and it is growing right now as long as amount of sensors and amount of approaches growing. So we will have more and more applications of it, and we need to start digging into it just to not lose our moment when we need to dive and when we need to attach to this technology as well. Because yeah, at some point it might be just deal breaker.
Very good point. Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us today, and we really appreciate your time. We hope that you were able to get some key takeaways from our presentation. And like Vlad said, this is a very exploding industry, changing every day, advances in platforms, technologies, wearables, and new products coming to market all the time. So a very excited industry to be in. And we look forward to hopefully having conversations with each of you and understanding what you're trying to do and how we can help you.